All right, so 24-hour candles. Today was kind of wild. Obviously, you had a pretty good trade to the upside, even better trade to the downside. But all of this, again, wasn't God's gift to green earth or whatever. But we did recover, right? We did pull ourselves back up, and after all of these candle closes and all of this effort to push us back, we are closing green up against the nearest candle close, which of course, with one little gap up, could tip this in the direction of the upside. But of course, when we're inside of an area of consolidation, there is no promises as far as weather direction until rather you break that range. And unfortunately, as of right now, we don't have that. We have three bounces off the bottom. We have two major rejections off the top. If I was a betting man, of course, you're potentially looking at a break on the Qs over 535. Going into tomorrow, you will have to go and break over that 535, which would ultimately be my target based contract if I was trading the Qs. I would like to remind you guys that in with these big flips, it's easy to flip when you're or flip, bearish, bullish, and the tension, and that's good. But until we break the range, and I just bring you back over here where you'll see a candle green close, the next candle is immediately red. So while we still are at that median, and we did have a great recovery, and this of course does potentially drive the effort to the upside as well as potentially break that tangent to the upside, it would probably be a good idea to find yourself a hedge by the end of the day if we retreat any further back. And this is an important element of this chart. The reason I'm saying this is because we did leave empty space below us. We are currently up against one of my 531.50 targets. And so underneath that, you could see a pullback into that top once again. Yeah, we'll take a look at it. So that being said, again, you can use that going into tomorrow. We don't really have anything crazy as far as data is concerned, but we do have Fed Chair Powell's testifying, which, again, it's not the most important thing in the world, but he will be testifying at 10 a.m. So we'll see if that brings any structure breaking momentum. Of course, we got a war going on or something of that nature. And that's going to play its part as well. But, of course, if we can find resolve in the next couple of days, just like we did with China, this could bounce right back up. So, SPY, again, recovering your floor. This one bouncing off the bottom above you. I would say this one's a bit more definitive and as well did finally, and I saw this because I was like a little suspicious. But we did end up popping right off of that channel floor, right off of the target, and recovering it. So this does, again, like the Qs, put us up for a potential punchback in SPY's case. Not necessarily in the Qs, but in SPY's case, it is a potential punchback over the $600 mark, and that's what we're going to need to see tomorrow in order to verify that we're going to be looking for new highs somewhere in the 607. And again, we have empty space and the targets to provide a potential run up into that. These are the two targets, of course, 607 and 610. All right. Let's see here. IWM finally turning somewhat to the upside here. Three major 1, 2 rejections off of the top. For 24-hour again, pulling yourself off of that floor, bouncing right off of that mark. So this, of course, can turn the momentum. And honestly, out of all the ETFs, this one seems like it's going to possibly make that bigger move. You have some decent targets to the upside. This one's risk to reward is I like it a lot, especially when I can't afford to speculate on the ETFs, other ETFs because they're too expensive or out of my price range. But that being said, with that big wick right there, we're looking for a potential pop tomorrow up to 212.88 and right here at 214. It was a target that I given previously if we're able to do exactly that. Now, this range above us, again, is not a box, but has served as a major resistance at that 212.15 mark. So, of course, that would that is what I'd be watching for tomorrow. But attention is trying to break, and that cost basis, funny enough, is exactly so. This will serve as a signal to the downside, absolutely, because again, when I'm able to have almost like a confluential horizontal target where this is the candle closes overhead, now the 50% mark of the box, I could assure myself that if we popped up and then popped back down, every single time I go live, dude, I get reported for unoriginal content. Anyway, that being said, 211.36 and 212.50. It's not a huge break. Of course, we're hoping for something bigger. Me personally, if we do end up moving to the upside significantly, which I think is over that 214 mark, we could start aiming for targets much higher and much further away around 220, which is a pretty good target. Downside, again, if you're hedging, which I think you've extracted all of the buying power out of this floor underneath you. Next time we head this way, we go north, or excuse me, go south, but that would be 206 and of course 205. So, all right. So that's our ETFs going into the end of the day. Still in range for the majority of them. Still not getting that full-on signal for a break. Maybe setting up for exactly that. I think on SPY, definitely Qs curling back up. So that's something to take in consideration going into tomorrow. I'm going to really quickly brush over my watch list. Apple hasn't really gone for the full approach, but it is potentially going to try to punch over a lower time frame box at 203 to give us a run maybe to the top of this channel. Again, I'm still waiting. And I'm okay with doing that because the empty space on the 2 hour was filled all the way and then it started chopping. And that's kind of what I wanted to see is how we would respond to that. But you can see literally empty space, you end. And this is the lesson I was teaching you guys today, something that should, again, if you truly implement it into your system, will save you. Once the empty space is gone, you usually chop. And so if we were to fall, break down, we've got a box underneath us at 196 or a target down to 193. But again, I'm watching this because of the 24-hour setup. Not necessarily, and upside is the 215 and 212.50s. And I don't mind speculating while we're building this tension. I'm not telling you guys what I'm doing with Apple because I'm going to have somebody buy it. You got to make a decision based off of that's how you're going to be an independent trader. Nobody's going to tell me whether I should buy Apple or not. And again, where we have that trigger, I'm giving you that trigger right here, empty space filled up, punch back, and then we need to move over that 207.81. So Apple's looking good. Tesla had a huge move, and again, this was on the watch list today because of the setup that it had going into the weekend. It of course launched out, broke all that volume. So I am probably going to remain on the sidelines for this one for the meantime. I'm not trying to figure out whether or not this thing wants to chop. It did pull back, tap that 50% mark. I expect if you lose today's low, you will, or not low, but intraday low, you will in fact go back for that retest. You left empty space at the upside as well, but you have managed to pull yourself back up on top of that. But it doesn't matter until you reclaim this box and punch over 361, and that would be the next signal to try to get it up to the 370s. And there's a gap at 402. I don't know if anybody has acknowledged this, but this is something those Tesla players need to keep an eye out for because I think that's one of the more significant targets above you. Not for now, but for later. So no, it could be another 8 days, 8 bars. Snow's still on the watch list with a 24-hour candle closed green up against the wall. I'm hanging on to what I got. I have hedges for both the up and the downside today. You hopped up, then you pulled back, then you popped up. Again, just putting more tension on the board. And I'm still expecting, again, below 209 or over Friday's high, a new high. So that's just a tension play. XYZ, this one still on the watch list, just on the watch list. Didn't make it. You see how easy that is? It just look at the candle, set my alerts, or set the boundaries on that trade. It hasn't triggered. It hasn't even gotten close, and I don't need to overanalyze this candle. So that one sits on the sideline. Roadblocks, did in fact end up going sideways, hitting that exact same mark. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do with this, but you guys know that stop losses are the most important thing to me. So you could probably figure that 104.65 is a pretty important mark for me at the moment. But you do have overhead resistance for tomorrow at 106 if you're able to go and break new highs. I personally kind of prefer a little bit of downside action here, but that would be below 101 and punching down below 100 that we could see that pullback. So, yeah, what Ivy said in the chat. All right. Almost done. Nike also on the watch list. This one had a significant candle pop right off of my target, right off of it. And I really like that. Fuck off. Yeah. But anyway, we had a really solid bounce. And this is the time where, of course, with the right expiration, again, if you don't know what to do, you need to find out what it is you need to do, and you need to find that out by asking questions that correlate with your setup. But of course, Nike had a strong pop off of that floor. Hasn't triggered anything, but could lead us up because this is the third, right? Again, waves 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So if we can make our way up and out, I'd be looking for that first confluential target right here of $69, which puts basically, and I think with the fact that you don't have a confirmation, you have to add time to it. Again, the $70 and the $69 strike are both options with some time underneath them. But again, you're going to have to figure out whether that fits your risk reward or whether you want to take it when it actually triggers, because it has not. A lot of you need to be waiting for those triggers. Hymns, I'm done with it. Although, I was whining about, I only had like, maybe 10 contracts on hymns for the other side of that trade, and those are up 450, 420% right now, and the contracts altogether worth almost $3,000. So I'm not crying about it, but obviously that's actually the move. So this one is no longer on my watch list. I just wanted to cover that. It could see potential new lows. This did kind of line up with the channel that I've been watching. And so if you're looking at hymns for continuation to the downside, I wouldn't take it any further past this mark of 37.65 and 35.50. So
The reason why I bounced up was that Novo Nordisk partnership, and then they pulled the plug today.
oh yeah. I missed that punch down though. Neo, I did try to snag a position on this one today. I went ahead and bailed out, figuring I could just go ahead and wait towards the end of the day. I'm still watching this one. It's trying to hang on literally as we speak. So I can be patient with this one. I don't really need to rush it, but it did trigger a stop loss. So I went ahead. If you haven't gotten rid of it and you're still hanging on to it, it's setting up for a punchback. Might take this one by the end of the day. Again, it's a really low risk, potentially high reward trade. And today's bounce, although again, what is above and what is below? Always ask that question every time you step to your chart. Two candle closes sitting right there, right in that range. So that's what I see as a potential, significant bounce over 350, over 348. We could start to see, and there's lots of gaps up there, and the potential behind this chart is huge, actually, at least short term. What pair is this? Money pair? I don't know. I'm not trading any pairs right now, dude. I'm actually allergic to pairs. Funny enough, they hurt me.
How far out do you recommend getting Neo?
Um, well, what's the rule per structure? Do you remember?
Yeah, a week per
Weak,
structure.
weak pair
I was thinking
structure.
3 weeks.
Okay, cool. So one, I would probably, because of how large this is. Two, if you're aiming all the way for 470, you're probably going 4 weeks out, 3 to 4 weeks out. but you still have a whole ass floor to go and reclaim. It could, again, it's up to you. You got to make that decision for yourself. So, all right. Last one. I want to, not that one. I want to cover Pepsi because today we went and I told you guys, a couple of you might have been watching, that I was going to be watching how it performed at the lows. Well, not bad, actually. So if I would say larger accounts, right? This is something that I don't mind rebalancing or averaging down off of that floor. This is not something that I've necessarily looking for, option trade right now. But as far as equity is concerned, um, I know some of you guys were talking about equity, but that could be an interesting area to get in. But I still like Pepsi for sure. And so this one, because of how much structure it's above you, I would say at least another week here, another week there, another week in the empty space. So 3 weeks at minimum, just to get to 138 and maybe 140. So honestly, just to be on the safe side, sometimes I'll even add just an extra week while we're in that structure. Again, this is one that you can wait for confirmation, or you can use today's low as your stop loss, depending on the expiration that you get. So it still looks really interesting to me. And oftentimes things like Pepsi and Coke will end up being safety areas of safety for certain people. So yeah, up at the 140. I mean, the 140s, I'll give you that. Those are pretty expensive for Pepsi, going that far out. But again, you can either speculate. It just because they're more expensive doesn't mean that they'll hold their value a little bit better. So you're paying for like a little bit more insurance, and that's okay if you're trading a little bit longer. So yeah, yeah, Locker. Yeah, typically the rule is typically a week per box, right? It typically takes about 5 trading days to move, on average. Now there's exceptions, but I cannot justify buying weekly contracts without having empty space directly in front of me. If Pepsi was right here closing at 136, then you'd see me looking at 138s and maybe 140s for whatever the closest expiration is, depending on what day of the week. So what's up? We make custom rugs and we would love to do business with you. I mean, I like rugs. All right. I think that's about it for me. Again, you'll notice that the majority, actually, I would say, so Hims, that one's off the watch list. Tesla's kind of pretty much off of the watch list. Roblox, again,
Look at T-Doc.
uh, T-Doc, okay. We'll look at that one shortly. But the rest of those look pretty similar. They're all in consolidation. But if you guys have anything you want me to take a look at, I'll do that now. As we wait for the 24-hour close for the end of the day. So, let's see, T-Doc. So the first overhead resistance is at $8, and that's probably that's what I would expect price to go and hit. But there's pockets of empty space above you, not a lot here. So I would be looking for 809 and 817 on T-Doc, and then a trip up to 850 seems likely. I don't know whether you're going to get all that. That's going to be stick. I mean, if you look at what needs to be reclaimed, even just that floor, which is your cost basis, and then that floor, which is your resistance. So breaking through this box in particular, and especially this one, you have multiple triggers to get you up and out. But yeah, that's what I see.
Been on my watch list for a long time. It's been consolidating for quite some time now.
What are you talking about, Marcos? I have no idea what you're talking about. All right. Let's see. MS. That one looks like with the first candle close. I mean, you fought for this one. You got a good wick down there. I just simply would be looking directly up above me, 134.33, and of course the candle closes here at 135.33. Marcus, what the fuck are you talking about? Get out of here, dude. We're doing end of day recap. If you weren't here for the 100, 700, 800% trades here for the first part of the day, shut the fuck up. How about that? I don't really care. Suck my contracts. All right. We got MSQBTS. Let's see here. So empty space, you reached down into that space, and I believe from floor to ceiling, I think I split that in half, and it was somewhere right here. And so I'd be looking at 1350. 1350. What the hell is going on? God loves you so much, he gave you. Oh man, am I on the For You page?
Are you a prophet?
No. Hold on.
You're in prophet.
Could be. That was wild. I thought that was my stepsister. Because she's like mad religious. Her name's Steph. Anyway, I'd be looking at a target of 1362. But you did pull yourself back up above those wicks, so you'd have to re-lose 1481. Let's see. The hourly is speaking of potential punchback right here. So I would look for 1525 and 1572. Nike, yeah, you know what I mean on that one. I see earnings as being a huge catalyst here. I fucking love Nike. I really do. I'm rocking it right now. But straight up, I mean, you fucking did it. You bounced right off of where I wanted you to bounce. You held your channel. The good solid candle close, momentum behind it. I'd expect for Nike to gap up to 62. Again, that's cost basis. It might buy some time. You said it's when is earnings for that one? Nike is
Thursday.
going down after earnings. Okay. Gifted investor. And to anybody else in here who wants to flame me, just to kind of give you a perspective of who the fuck you're dealing with, which again, you know, for anything else, if you're, you know, a good racquetball player, I wouldn't talk shit because I can't play racquetball, but I can fucking play this shit. If you're not making anything close to these type of percentages on a regular basis, then I really don't care what you have to say for anybody who's in here. I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about anybody else. There's a couple weird people in here. Also, I'm really just doing this so I could show you this. Look at that fucking, I love, dude, what is this, El Shivo? Dude, I fucking love your little edits. They make me, look at the gains page, guys, if you have a chance at 1258. Amazing. But anyway, I love Nike. I really do. I think for earnings, there's a good possibility of filling up some of this empty space above us. Hedges will likely be targeting somewhere around 55.77. But yeah, I really do like that one a lot. All right, so let's take a look. Trying to make sure I get through all of these. FedEx earnings is tomorrow. Ugh. Oh. Ugh. Ugh. Damn. Why does that setup look like that? Holy shit, man. That thing looks seasick. So let's try to figure it. Let's go to the weekly, maybe even the monthly. Wow, what a confusing ass chart. But it does give away a few obvious things like this floor, which is at 141. So I would just go ahead and conclude that this isn't my favorite setup at all, right? Immediately. Like I'm not really seeing and again, I'm not saying it can't rip. I'm just saying it doesn't fit what I like. And I personally don't really like setups that look like this. So I could see this one just as easily ripping as I could falling, which is useful or useless information. I have a candle close nearest to you, so I suspect that if you pop over that, you'll hit that 242 and possibly 253.43. But at the same time, I have a box underneath me and a punch down below 212.50. So, I mean, if I'm being honest with you, I don't really see a play here. FedEx has gifted us with a pretty volatile earnings season up here, but has seemed to kind of cool down. So, I mean, I would say at best, yeah, 343, 345, you know, if you can rip. So, Walmart, yeah, so I talked about this one earlier, maybe this morning. Potential punchback, you're looking for cost basis, that's 98. If 98 is broken, you're looking up towards the top at 100. You guys, you got this one. 102.65 would be my target still. And it's been a long time coming. So SMCI, nasty. So inside of your own box, you basically hit the top and fell. I would, when I actually, exactly what I have drawn here. Damn, what was that, last night? I don't remember when I said that. But if you fall here, I would expect that you hit your floor. That should happen by tomorrow. And to be honest with you, you could either A, go hit the first 37, so 37.55. If you bounce and recover the floor above you, you might be able to work that out sooner than later. But I see a move back down to fill all of that empty space at 33.29. Now, given where you're at inside of this channel, I wouldn't expect that to take, or I wouldn't expect that to happen extremely quickly as far as the bounce and recovery. It's a stock that moves, just like everything else, right, guys? It fucking moves and it chops. It moves and it chops. So you are looking at a continuation move for SMCI. And there's a lot of stocks right now that a lot of you guys should be looking to take because, yeah, they are breaking or they are getting close to those tension breaks. Like Coin, right? This one's likely done for a short period of time. It's filled up all the empty space that it's had. It's punched through the box and it's now sitting at the median of a larger box up above it. And because it's ripped really quickly, we could probably go ahead and conclude that the next area of consolidation will likely be between here and here, right? And that's what I already just looking at where you're at, if you cannot, and this is all you're waiting for, if you cannot just simply gap up and rip through that 312, I would suspect that you're going to pull back. On the second bounce, you'll probably come back, touch the box and fill the empty space above you and circle back for that punchback. So what you look, so that right there is, I think, a really good example. And not only that, you know, we've gone and done this, I think, on every stock, you know, it's like, bam, there's a high likelihood that that's what we're going to be dealing with. Looks perfect. Yes, Board Potato, I do make a living off of this. But I don't make a living off of trading every single day. That I can promise you. In fact, that's the majority of the money that I still lose to this day happens on days like that. Meta pulled back, didn't touch all the way, bounced off its floor, engulfed its candle. So you could be looking at if we're fucking elementary school, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So we're looking for that third approach. And of course, Meta has a target right there. And of course, empty space potentially leading it all the way up to 374.40. So you would have target 1, which would be significant and have to be broken. And then you could potentially rip. So keep your eyes out for that. Rocket Lab up. Okay. Didn't we talk about this one? Yeah, we did. I don't know when it was, but it was recently. Is this all-time highs? Yeah. Okay. So, especially for those of you guys who are new, I'm always going to be the first one to admit what my weaknesses are here. Today, you pulled back, you hit your cost basis, and you ripped up into all-time highs. I cannot help you when you get to all-time highs. The only thing I can do is tell you what's above and what's below. The only thing that's above you is a wick. So 33.42. But that doesn't take a genius to do that. So I'd say right now, right, this could make for the conditions to build something, but ultimately, if it's all-time highs, there's nothing for me to offer for you that's going to give you an edge. Can the market be affected by current war issues? Yeah. Nobody's talking on the. Yeah. Wait, what the fuck? What are we talking about, guys? What? Yo, if there's anybody talking shit in the chat right now or fighting with you, dude, I'm gonna fucking ban you. We're here for money, not to, we can have fun as soon as the bell rings. We can go harass and do what we want to do. Okay, guys, I'm gonna be. This is the last time I'm gonna go over this one because I need you guys to understand that it might as well be empty space. I've gone over this probably like 25 times, so it's not your guys' fault if you're asking you didn't know that, but I've gone over this one a lot. The only thing I can offer you inside of what you could just consider to be massive. I mean what do I have here other than empty space and dividing my boxes? Again, this one is building. I can tell you how to, again, if you're holding, you want it to break over the top and you want to set your stop loss likely on cost basis. You have underneath you at 22 or 23. If that breaks down, you're likely going to fall into that empty space. So yeah, no offense to anybody who is asking. If you haven't heard me go over this analysis, it's not on you, but I'm just letting you know that there's nothing that I can do on this chart other. If I was in QXO right now, I'd be squeezing my cheeks, setting my stop losses underneath me, and hanging on tight. But I can tell you this: it does like to go sideways before it continues moving up as per usual. So don't be scared of a little volatility. Hey, gifted investor, I hope that all was worth it because I'm not going to sit here and listen to you fucking piss people off for no fucking reason. Because what a weird thing to hate on. Yeah, you're out of here, dude. Peace.
We should put "Don't be scared of a little volatility" on a shirt.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, what a pissant. Weirdo. He's just being weird. He's just talking shit to people in the chat. This dude has a TikTok shop. If you have a TikTok shop right now, you're fucking. I'm proud of you. Because honestly, that's a really good way to fucking. I've tried to do that a couple times. Just can't see it to multitask. Honestly, SoFi could have a good move. I think with today's candle close retracing like it is, I think I could see a good move right back up to that 1622 and 1650. That's what I see in front of me, at least right now. You can look at the 4 hour. The 4 hour is a little bit clearer in some ways where you have a box below you and a perfect bounce off a cost basis, kind of verifying that. You have a gap down at 1408, so falling would be bad and no. You have that basically if you lose 1442, you probably in for downsides up. What the hell? I see Nike with a bad report. I'm not, guys. It could be a bad report, and it could still go up. I was just reading the chat. All right, I'm just banning people. If people in here, Ivy, if you know what, if anybody wants to talk shit right now, wait till the fucking bell rings. Once you do that, fucking duke it out. But Ivy, if anybody else decides to fucking like you're either asking for tickers because you want to make money, or you're here to bitch with other random people on the internet. And I find my time to do that after I make money. So prioritize yourself because this is money making time. Ivy, just fucking unload. If anybody does, just ban, insta ban. All right. So anyway, that's SoFi. Oh, you're good, man. You're good. It's just so much empty space. 44th. It's beyond the empty space that I trade. Okay, so Chewy did come back to its cost basis and bounce. I would suspect that you're looking at the possibility of building a range right here. So look for the equal mark of 45. That's psychological. I could expect that to be your target tomorrow. You also just could break this down to the 4 hour and say, I have a box here and I'm coming out of a box there. So yeah, 45.30 looks pretty juicy. Oracle in range. Yeah, man, you're probably going to go back up and retest. Now, given the tension that you're creating, it's really easy to get caught up in the lower time frame. But when I get that first floor, look at that. Perfect alignment, 4 hour. It's a little bit different. I'm not going to apply the box to that. But you can go to the 2 hour. Bam. That's going to be the first green candle to my left. So I need a 207.47, and then you're likely going to hit 210. Mic check. You guys should be able to hear me. Oh. Hold on. Okay. Why did I block that guy? Yeah, go tell Jay we're over here prepping for swings. Nah, he don't want this. Anyway, really quickly, I banned that guy because I said something about Nike, and he said something about a bad report, and I said something back to him, and then he's just being fucking weird. Period. All right. Anyway, so yeah, keep that. That's a lot of overhead resistance at 215. So, all right. Can you help me look for MS contract picking? I am looking for 137s for this week since it's empty space, but I'm not sure if they would be good. Or 136s. The most logical target above you is 134.20, at least on this 2 hour chart, and then the following target would be 135.50. So what are those contracts at? I hate Morgan Stanley. I mean, how much are those? I don't. The risk to reward on them, though. I mean, look at you. You don't. You'd have to go basically like 2 steps in the money to really see that pump that we're looking for. They're not as cheap as I would expect, but I think if you're going to take them because you do have a resistance in front of you, you might have to apply. Either you take it for this week and you just fucking expect you need to blow through that 134, so you just have to watch it and make sure that you abide by your stop loss underneath you, and just aim for that 135. I think all in all, if you look at the empty space above you, once you get hold of this floor, and that's where the question rises, do we grab hold of that floor? But once you get hold of that floor, that's where you have empty space all the way to 139.50, and that could be, something at 2 weeks. So snow is still chopping. I just did Oracle. Where are you? Didn't I? Yeah. Oracle's in a nice little channel here. Fucking bounced right off of my floor. built a box, it's probably going to go hit 210. And then at that point, I don't know. And it's okay not to know, because sometimes when you're in a box, you don't know. If you can punch through the 50% mark and make it above 212, I do know you'll go and likely punch up and make new highs. So, am I swinging IWM? Maybe. 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 After this class is done, I'm going to talk to Manny too about it. After this class is done, we're going hard, dude, on learning. I'm going to try and push some people in the right directions, which is going to be uncomfortable. Yeah, 215, 214s. Or, excuse me, that's my target for tomorrow. Excuse me. The trouble is I don't know what everybody is doing. Like, I don't know what everybody else is dealing with. So the more that you talk, the more that I can get to kind of figure out what you got going on. Because if you're dealing with a small account, my advice to you might be a little different than somebody like, I'm going to be doing this. It's a small experiment, but I'm going to be doing like a little equity club for people who have more than 10 grand in their account. And the things that I would have to, because the things that I'm going to talk to these people about are going to be in concept the same things, but different, right? The way that we're trading is different. The way that we're looking at the market is different. The way that we buy is different. Same system, right? Same everything. But again, what you're doing and what you're trying to adhere to, most of you guys who are new or trying to get some cash underneath you, you need to be waiting for one of these breaks in tension, i.e. Tesla. You know, it could be, and again, for those of you guys who are watching this one, seriously, if this thing starts going sideways for the next 8 to 10 days, rinse and repeat. Yes, all the videos are recorded.
Since you're asking, I'll be more vocal.
You know
Is
what?
there class tonight?
Yeah. I'm eating a neural gum right now as we speak.
Word. I had a question about something. Uh, I don't know if I wanted to wait till after market because you're still charting.
Spit it out, Chief.
So it was about I hear an echo. It's like fucking
Yeah, you need to mute
So
the
on-
stream you're watching. Whatever
yeah,
stream.
but when I mute it, when I start talking, it unmutes it.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. Just so on the Chewy chart, because we already punched through that box, and I know you talked about when you punch through a box, you use that volume, but it
Mhm.
went through really fast. So
Let
it
me
might
ask you a
not have
question. What box did you punch through? Is
to the left,
that
that box to the left.
you talking about this stuff right here? That's what
That
we
stuff
punched.
right
That's what
there.
we punched down through, right?
Yeah,
That-
that's what I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah, so that was punched down through. This was punched
So
down through.
technically it wouldn't be another punch through because you already punched through it.
It doesn't give the same signal. The price targets are still going to be the same, but one's going to lead to
Yeah.
another. 43 to 50, 43.58, 44.10, 44.10, 44.50, 44.71. Now you have some getaway, and you can go and test that floor. So, and then you have to do the same thing to the downside right here. So, and then on the lower time frame, you know, the top of that box is pretty thick, so you probably want to separate that a little bit. But anyway, yeah, you have already punched that. Those boxes are what give you the momentum to keep going down. Now, reclaiming the floors, that's also, you know, a good place. If I was in Chewy, my stop loss in the hourly seems to look. God, everything goes together. Do you see how this stitches itself together? 24 hour. Look at the wick. Look at the floor. Now walk down with me. Ready? Watch where the first red candle appears. Now do you see it? 15. Boom. So what does that mean to me? That means that the first rejection that I saw for today, right, and here would mark that rejection. Now I have equal floors over here to my left. I could give that a range, but it only has one off at the top. But I can definitively say that 4306 is what we need to hang on to. And that if any lower time frame bounces occur, they need to bounce off of 4280.
Yes, sir.
PPTA makes war stuff. Damn. Oh, that must be why somebody asked me about it. Yeah, I honestly see this thing possibly legging down first to 1258, but it does look like one that I mean, it contracts and then it expands, and it does that pretty much in 1 or 2 candles. So you have that contraction now. I'd be expecting the move relatively soon. But if any upside is going to occur, it's going to be over 1450. All right, it is 357. So make your choices on equity, on what you're swinging. Um, again, still working with Snow. I like Nike a lot going into earnings. Again, I don't care what I'll hedge. I'm expecting what I do see on the chart is a relatively big move, and that's what I'm looking to capture. So regardless of your opinion or what you think yeah, that's what I got, John. 70 July 3rd. There are amazing plays on the board. That is very true. If you guys are on TikTok, you guys don't mind tapping your screen. Appreciate you. Yeah, there are a lot of really good plays, both up and down. Neo actually closed green, so that one I need to set an alert on that one for tomorrow. But my watch list is a couple of them already took off without me. I did, again, I got a little bit of Tesla. Hims I was just happened to have a hedge for. So that one ended up making me a little bit of money, but Snow still waiting on. Pepsi, now that the market's closed or about to close, I grabbed something off the floor just because it makes for a really easy way to set a stop loss. So Iran let the US know the missiles were coming. Iran may not want any more hostilities. I don't think they do. I think their beef is with Israel, but we unfortunately we're tied to the hip by Christian evangelist, you know. Let them duke it out, I think, is probably the best way to deal with that. Maybe not, I don't know. What's the floor on Snow? Target. The floor on Snow right now is 206. Well, actually, it's 205 if you're on the 4 hour. 205.25 right now. That's the overhead at 216 that I want to break. All right, last minute of the day.
Fun fact: I took those cues back up earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and that was fun.
Yeah, I had
Final runner was like 670.
Yeah.
670%.
Yeah, the cues on a lower time frame actually reflecting on this. It was pretty interesting. This morning we had the dip down again, reeling the sellers. That pulled itself back up onto that floor, empty space. He filled that back up. He punched over 2 boxes, one right here and one right there. I played that one up with you guys. Then the box ended up breaking down, closing back underneath that floor. And so that made for a pretty good short. I know a lot of you guys, like I said, caught that one down pretty tasty. And then with the way you fell, that was the third time in the same day. And of course, that thing offered. It was kind of cool because it went directly to that target the second target that I wanted to trim at. And I'll be honest with you, I left like 4 contracts on the queues from the original play, and they ended up spiking in volume, so I was able to unload those. But yeah, those are, especially if you're futures or scalper of any sort. Today was probably a pretty pretty good day. So
Yeah, did you
Marcus,
ever get like an email from TopX about your account?
why? What do I need to check my what for like being approved?
Well, that like you passed the account.
Yeah.
Are you gonna continue?
Maybe on the weekends. I can't do that shit during the week, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean,
Cool.
I might, but yeah, dude, something about trading like that, fucking changes me. Turn into a crackhead,
Nah, I
bro.
got you.
I will though.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Thoughts on LNT? Lockheed. Dude, honestly, Lockheed is locked in. I personally wouldn't. This is not something I'm interested in touching. You have 3 major rejections off the top. You could be looking at this. You know, a lot of the times with big institutional stocks like this, they're going to move it down before they move it back up. So, wait, who said that? What the fuck are you guys talking about? Man said, "Welcome to the quant world," but literally, oh my god, that's fucking hilarious. Mhm. I did grab IWM. Yeah, I have some. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and prep for class. If you guys, if you do sign up or if you do join the Discord, you can still hop in to the classes, and you'll have access to the ones that I've already recorded. But we're gonna get started here at 5. So I'll see you guys in there. But for everybody else, this is recorded. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the